couple of times I've done that with, I've got some, writer groups, and one of them was that we would do so many words a day. And we set the goal for, like, mine was 2,500 words a day. Usually I don't look at the word count, but I had agreed to do it that way this time. And I ended up, the best day I had, I wrote 10,000 words. It was just like, it just flowed, and that was so great. And I know I wouldn't have done it if I hadn't said, okay, I'm going to do at least 2,500 words. I do think there's a certain, mindset, that, and writing comes easier for some of us than for others. Absolutely, I do think that. And you notice that as a teacher. You can tell which people are, where it's easy versus, people struggle at it, even though they want to write. But that doesn't, we just have to find our own goals then. So it might be the goal isn't 2,500 words, it's to show up at a certain time and just be there every day and see what happens. And sometimes, when I did my first novel, that commitment was just to show up at 5 o'clock in the morning and be ready to write. And sometimes I wrote hardly anything. Sometimes I actually fell asleep at the computer. And sometimes I did quite a few words. But I was always feeling good about what my project was, how my project was going, because I had kept the commitment to myself to show up. And so, sometimes I think we have to give ourselves permission. This is hard work. Writing is hard work. And I might have to rewrite what I wrote. Of that 10,000 words I wrote that day, and I'm sure I rewrote much of it. But that doesn't mean that it wasn't worth the work. I mean, I think the outlier, is it the guy who wrote Outliers or something, particularly with writers, I think it was 1 million words that the people who we think of as being New York Times bestsellers, the Stephen Kings and all these people, but they've written millions of words, often before the first book was ever noticed. And it's part of that persevering and keeping going.